Break it. Yeah. Break it. Slacker 82 Alpha.
Check the dirt is dead, smell the rot in the wind. You keep your eyes on the pavement, counting every sin. Waiting for a miracle, man, it ain't gonna come. Waiting for a miracle, man, it ain't gonna come. I see that fake ass grin, looking vacant and numb. That polite little mask, yeah, starting to chip. I'm shoving truth down on mask, yeah, starting to chip. I'm shoving truth down your throat, take a bite of the whip. Hard pills to swallow, I'm the one with the dose. Hard pills to swallow, I'm the one with the dose. Bringing heavy reality, getting way too close. Bringing heavy reality, getting way too close. This is the Slacker 82 Alpha Show. Maverick's the voice, yeah, the one in the red. Nobody is safe. Nobody is safe. Nobody is safe. Nobody is safe. Tear the fabric from the frame, let the whole thing break. The revolution has no face, make no mistake. Nobody is safe. Nobody is safe. I'm done with the soft talk, no sugar on the tongue. I'm spitting the grit from the songs that I've sung. Chewing on the glass that you fed to the street while you hide in the penthouse, avoiding the heat. Your system is a cage built by cowards of dark, but the mob's at the gate and I'm holding the spark. Politically incorrect, I don't care if you're hurt. I'm digging up the bodies you left in the dirt. But the mob's at the gate and I'm holding the spark. Politically correct, I don't care if you're hurt. I'm digging up the bodies you left in the dirt. This is the Slacker 82 Alpha Show. Maverick's the voice, yeah, the one in the red. Nobody is safe. Nobody is safe. Nobody is safe. Nobody is safe. Tear the fabric from the frame, let the whole thing break. The revolution has no face, make no mistake. Nobody is safe. Nobody is safe. Spit it out. Spit it out.
Yeah.
Spit it out. Tear it down.
Tear it down.
Tear it down. Spear it down. Spear it down. Tear it down. Nobody is safe. This is the Slacker 82 Alpha Show. Maverick's the voice, yeah, the one in the red. Nobody is safe. Tear the fabric from the frame, let the whole thing break. The revolution has no face, make no mistake. Nobody is safe. Nobody is safe.
The truth is out. The cage is gone. Maverick.
All right. Welcome, everybody. Another edition of Slacker 82. I'm your host, Maverick. Yeah, no, it's been a little bit since I've been here. I know I say that every week, I think. But I'm still trying to figure this whole thing out and get a schedule down. But we're working on it. I want to welcome everybody from Paisley Radio in UG Media and Cast Radio that are listening in today, among everybody else that's listening in. All right, man, let's go. We got a lot going on since the last time I was here, I think. All kinds of good stuff going on. So let's see here. Let me get my notes so I can get going here. Hope everybody had a good week or whatever. It's been a little bit since I've been here. All right. So I see we see Iran is ramping up their threats against Trump. I saw an interview. It wasn't an interview. I saw an article I was reading. Actually, it was a interview that was being done with the guy from Iran. I don't see his name here. Hang on, let me see if I got his name here. Abbas Archie. I don't know. These guys' names are like crazy. And he said, okay, let's go back to what he said. So the reporter said, Trump calls himself the Hormuz Guardian. And this guy responded, he was just born yesterday. Iran has been protecting Hormuz for a millennia. Then the reporter says, now he wants 20% tolls on the Strait of Hormuz. And he says, 5 minutes ago, he said Iran should not take tolls. The hypocrisy is wild. he should take a break. uh, he says Iran is playing 4D chess while Trump is playing checkers. So it's I mean, things are heating up. I mean, we've been bombing them again, of course. And I mean, we went from it was over, we finished everything we wanted to do. They're they've already signed, we signed an agreement. The final agreement was going to get done in like 60 days, and now we're back to fighting again. I mean, Trump's ended this war, what, 50 times already? And every time it blows up in his face. Every time he says it, it blows up in his face because, something happens. We bomb them. Iran bombed somebody else, So, I mean, it's getting ridiculous is what it's doing. I mean, it really is. You can't make this stuff up. And then Iran today, I think it was today. Let me see if I have it here. I thought I had it here. They have a banner out now that says, let's see if I have the picture of the banner. So it's got they posted up a big banner, and it's got Trump and all his family, their pictures above a coffin. Each one has a coffin in front of them. So it's Trump and Melania and all his kids and Barron, all of them. They all got pictures of them, above. They have pictures sitting on coffins with the American flag on them. I mean, and then there's been some, speculation. Israel told Trump that they uncovered a plot, assassination plot, but I mean, look, can it be done? Yeah, probably. I mean, if they wanted to bad enough, I'm sure they could find a way to get him. Yeah, but Trump's playing it, of course, playing it Mr. Cool. Oh, well, if something happens to me, I've already told JD, that he needs to, take them out, destroy them, make nothing left of them. I mean, stupid shit like that. I mean, the over and over again, we're told that, this thing is over, Strait of Hormuz is open. Now the Strait of Hormuz is closed again. And now the new thing is that Iran may have drones stored in Cuba. Of course, Cuba being 90 miles from Florida, but I don't think there's any proof of that. You know what I mean? I think that it was just trying to see. There was no article with that. Just says Trump on alert. Iran may have drones stored in Cuba, just 90 miles from Florida, that could be used to attack. Is it possible? I guess anything's possible. I mean, look what happened with Russia and Cuba. So is it possible? Sure it is. Oh, here's that. So there was an article attached to that. Okay. Sinister banner shows Trump family in coffins as Iran demands blood for blood. Sinister banner featured Trump, his wife, and 5 children in coffins. So Iranians have intensified calls for Donald Trump's death with ominous new mural. They grieve the killed Supreme Leader Ali, Khamenei. They're still having that big funeral. I mean, it's like been a week long or something. A recently unveiled banner in Tehran shows the 80-year-old president and his family members in caskets. Trump and his wife Melania, his 5 children, Ivanka, Don Jr., Eric, Tiffany, and Barron Trump appear in photo frames positioned atop coffins covered with the American flag. The banner also bore the Persian text, blood for blood. It comes as U.S. expands its airstrike operation against Iran, targeting bridges, energy infrastructure, and critical port tower. It comes after a chilling death threat appeared on a second Iranian billboard. As Iran Iran has issued numerous threats to assassinate Trump following the killing of the late Ayatollah Khamenei at the start of the conflict. Last week, Amashari, I don't know what that is, a conservative Iranian newspaper published by authorities in Tehran, released a revenge list of the world leaders to be targeted for Khamenei's death, including Trump. Let's see. Iranians have ramped up the call for Donald Trump's death with sinister murals. They mourn the slain supreme leader, Ali Khamenei, whatever. New banner. Okay, that was that part. There was another banner I saw. Let me see if I have it here. So there's another banner that says, "Who is D?" And then next is spelled out with a capital T at the end. So it says, "Who is D next one?" And then it says hashtag Lindsey Graham underneath of it. So that's another interesting billboard. And the fact that they referenced Lindsey Graham in it for some reason, I don't know why, but that was a little bit interesting. Excuse me for that yawn there. All right. So let's see what else is going on. So, yeah. So, I mean, will something happen? You know, chances are very slim that they could get to him. You know, doesn't mean they can't, but I think it's very slim chance of that happening. You know, that would open up a whole nother can of worms if that took place. So I don't know. Trump better watch himself, I guess. So I saw Rubio in front of being asked some questions by media the other day. Because when Trump announced that he was going to do the tolls on the Strait of Hormuz, you know, they was going to 20% or something like that. I think it was. And I'm thinking, well, first of all, we said Iran wanted to do it, and it was a bad thing. You know, oh no, Iran can't do that. You know, it's international waters. You know, nobody can do that. And then Trump turns around and says he's going to do it. He's going to charge everybody 20% toll. So I mean, you know, it just again, it goes back to Trump just saying things. You know, I don't know if it just pops into his head and he just decides, oh well, you know what, maybe that's a good idea. You know, and says it. You know, post it on Truth Social. I mean, like Iran's looking at Truth Social. You know what I mean? But he posts everything on Truth Social. I mean, it's just him posting all the time, and then and the other people reposting his stuff. I mean, so Truth Social is a joke because the only one posting on it is him, and then you got all these people reposting his stuff. You know, it's ridiculous. I mean, it really is. I mean, it's a platform for him to run his mouth on. And then all this, you know, his hardcore groupies, all repost his stuff, you know, and that's all you see. I mean, I go on there every once in a while to see what he's saying, and then, you know, maybe bomb a few people while I'm on there. But it's you know, it's a joke, really. So anyway, back to Rubio. So I'm trying to see if I can get this thing on here so you guys can hear it, because I don't think I can do it. Hang on, let me see if I can get it. Let me see if I can get it. I should have done this earlier. Sorry. See if I can get it on the computer so you guys can hear it. So anyway, yeah. So yeah, I mean, so we say it's bad. I mean, Iran says, "Oh, we're gonna do tolls," and then Trump, "Oh no, you can't do that," and everybody was up in arms because oh, how dare them, want to charge a toll, and I think the toll that Trump wanted to do was more than what Iran was saying they wanted to do. So, I mean, again, it just goes back to just makes you wonder if he doesn't just, come up with these things, in the middle of the night and just says, you know what, I got to post that. um, I don't know. I mean, sometimes he goes off on these rants that are just ridiculous. Um, Anymore. I mean, it used to be he would post some good stuff, but anymore, it's just, more, just, it's like a crazy man's rant, basically. I don't know. I mean, all right, let's see. I think I got it here. Um, let's see if I can get this here for you guys. Should be able to do it this way. So I need a producer here. So I don't have to do this stuff. What happens when you produce your own show? Then you got to do all this stuff yourself. So, sorry, guys. All right. Come on. Are you kidding me? All right. This is probably not going to work. Probably not going to work. I mean, I could probably play it. So let's see if I can play it here and you guys can hear it. All right, let's see if I can get you guys to hear it here. This is Rubio. Turn it up here.
Hormuz, possible. Can the U.S. and allies guarantee navigation, freedom of navigation in the state?
Well, that's the law. It's an international waterway. No country is allowed to charge tolls or fees on an international waterway. That's existing international law. That's the way it is in international waterways all over the world, and that's the way we expect it'll be here. So I don't think we have anybody to convince around here in that regard. I think all the countries in this region would agree with us.
So I think so. Somebody needs to tell Rubio that. So that shows you they're all on the same page because Trump's saying one thing and Rubio's going out behind him and contradicting anything that Trump said about it. Saying that no country can do it. No, there's nobody that's allowed to do that. Yet we're boasting that we're going to do it. I don't know. So yeah, somebody needs to tell Rubio, I guess, that Trump is saying something different about it. But all right, let's go back and see what else we got here. So I don't know if I'm sure majority of you guys probably listened to Trump's speech yesterday. I didn't. I wasn't home. I had things to do. So I did not hear the speech. I've been looking, getting bits and pieces of the what he had to say. So the gist of it was that he's claiming that back in 2020, now it was China. China was the one that interfered in the elections back then. Let me see if I have. He said that. I mean, there was a lot. There's a lot of response from the Democratic side about the things that he said. Um, I mean, even going as far as calling for the 25th Amendment to be used and, to impeach him. And because, all right, so basically he's saying that, that China messed with, it was a big amount. And I'm sorry, I don't have the number in front of me. That China was involved in trying to do stuff against him, as far as prevent him from winning the election. Sorry, let me see if I can find here. All right. So over a period of years, starting from 2020 election cycle, the People's Republic of China carried out what is believed to be the largest compromise of election data in history, resulting in China's illicit acquisition of 220 million U.S. vote filers. I don't know where he's coming up with this stuff. I haven't seen anything that's that people are coming out and saying. The BBC is saying Trump alleges China meddled in 2020 election and questions voting security ahead of midterms. So is Trump just saying this to that way if we do lose in November, if we lose the House and possibly Senate, he can say that, that it was rigged election? Or is he using this as a way to try to persuade Congress and the Senate to pass the Save America, I think it's called, or some shit? So he says U.S. President Donald Trump delivered a primetime address, which he accused China of interfering in the 2020 election and alleged shocking vulnerabilities in the American voting system. Trump, who spoke from the White House on Thursday, repeatedly made unsubstantiated claims about voter fraud, foreign meddle in the 2020 election, which he lost to Joe Biden. In a half-hour speech delivered 3 months before the midterm election, he said he declassified hundreds of intelligence files which support his claim that Beijing had tried to sway the election in Biden's favor. U.S. intelligence community has previously concluded China did not interfere in the 2020 election. See, that's what I'm talking about. I mean, he comes out and says all this stuff, blaming China, saying that, this and that. And then the intelligence community, which I would imagine with the CIA and the all these other 3-letter agencies, are saying that China did not interfere with the 2020 election. In response to a speech, China's foreign minister denied the allegation of Chinese meddling in 2020 presidential election, saying they all were entirely fabricated. Trump's claims are malicious smears, which have long proven to be groundless, Foreign Ministry spokesman Lin Jean said. So Trump spoke in front of several members of his top team. He gave his address, but journalists were not able to question the president. In his remarks, he accused China of illicit acquisition of 220 million voter files, including personal information. Let's see. Trump said the voter data in 18 states. 18 states that were brought stolen or hacked by China. Said the voter data in 18 states was bought, stolen, or hacked by China, and accused those responsible of sounding alarm of not disclosing discovery to government officials or Congress. A lot of voter data was publicly available, and Trump did not in his speech present any evidence that China used information as to alter voting systems or influence election outcomes. So, again, since hundreds of pages of intelligence documents were released by the White House during Trump's address, many of them heavily redacted, the BBC is in the process of doing them. So, So so he blames China for the 2020 election now. Well, blames them along with, whoever else. Personally, I'm so sick of hearing about 2020 because there's not a fucking thing we can do about 2020. 6 years ago, and we're still hearing this bullshit, that now we're hearing that China was involved and, and it's convenient for him to bring this shit out because we're doing so shitty with Iran and all this stuff is going on with Iran. We were told by Trump that the military was depleted, their military was depleted, their air force was depleted, their navy, their missile capabilities, and yet they're still managing to bomb people, still managing to launch missiles. I know people will say, "Oh, well, they got a small capability." No, they're launching drones and fucking missiles. We were told they didn't have any of that stuff. According to Trump, it was destroyed totally. Nothing. They couldn't do anything. Everything they had was underground, buried. But yet somehow they're able to do it. I would rather him just come out and say, "You know what? We thought we got them all. Apparently we didn't." And move on from there. But to repeatedly over and over say, every time he was asked, and he still does it, "Oh, well, they got no Navy, they got no Air Force, they got, no missile capabilities, they got," and meanwhile, you're seeing all these reports, they're firing missiles into Kuwait, into Qatar and all these other places, but yet they don't have the capability to do it. It just makes him look stupid. And it's hard to stand behind him when he's doing these things constantly, repeating and just repeating these lies. They know they're lies and they just keep repeating them anyway. And it's not just him, it's the whole administration. Because everybody's afraid to say anything against him. And as well, they should be, I guess, because every time somebody goes against him, they get targeted. They're badmouth, they're losers, they're all kinds of stuff. And it's ridiculous that somebody can't check him before he speaks. Because, he just, and I said this before, I would not want to be one of his advisors because he doesn't listen to anybody. He thinks he knows better than everybody else. It was fine in the beginning. In the first term, he spoke his mind, and he said things, but he didn't lie. He was saying the things that we were thinking. And that was one of the things I liked about him was that, he was for the country and he was for, getting things done. And then 2020 came and then it just snowballed from there. His ego got bruised. We lost. Yes, we did. Period. We lost. Whether they cheated or they didn't cheat, it doesn't matter because we lost. Can't do anything about that. And him bringing up 2020 over and over again, all he's doing now is setting up for 28 here. For 28 and for the midterms coming up in November. Because now, if something happens, you can say, "Oh, I told you, they did it in 2020. They did it again." Instead of trying to fix it, let's throw a bunch of shit out there, and see what sticks. Because that's all we're doing now. And it makes the Republican Party look like fucking idiots. I'm sorry, but it does. And that includes me because I'm a Republican. And well, I'm a independent, but I vote the Republican side. But it's getting harder and harder to back him with all this crazy shit that he's doing. But yet then you got the diehards, and as soon as you say something, and I get it all the time. I get emails, I get messages all the time on the show and all these other things because I say things against him, and then it's, oh, well, you're not a true supporter of Trump. You hate Trump and all this other stuff. And it's so ridiculous, but I get used to it because I hear it all the time. Just because I speak out against him when he does the dumb things that he's doing doesn't mean that I don't like him. I mean, it doesn't. It doesn't mean that I don't like him. He was doing good things, but now he's not. And I can't just sit here and go, oh, well, I don't see it. Oh, I didn't hear that. Because, and that's what people do. Oh, I don't think he meant that. Or, oh, he didn't say that. Just and just try to excuse it away. I can't do that. When I hear something that he says and I know that it's not true, I have to say something. And I mean, and now he gets mad at the media because now the media finally some of the media are growing some balls, and it seems like it's a female reporters who are having the balls to call him out on stuff. Just like the other day, a lady called him out on, I think she was from CNN, and she called him out on something that he said, something about the reimbursement. Oh, all the countries in the Middle East are going to reimburse us, for us being the guardian of the Hormuz. No, they're not. Nobody said that. She had which one said that? And then he didn't want to. He couldn't answer, so all he did was attack her and say mean things about her. I mean, but that's typical for him. If you do not agree with him, you're the enemy. And his minions, all the the hardcore MAGA, are the same way. If you speak against Trump, forget about it. You're a bad guy. There is no, for them, it's his way or nothing. You know what I mean? I mean, it has to be everything that he says is true. Everything that he does is fine. And if you don't agree with that, then you're the outsider. And you know what? I'm fine with that. I'm fine with being the outsider because I'm not going to agree with the stupid shit that he does. And he does a lot of it, especially this term. The first term, I was on board with everything he was doing. The COVID stuff, that got me a little bit. That's where I started to see the cracks in the administration, and him. But then it just got crazy from there. I mean, when he lost in 2020, it's like snapped something in him because then he just became this other person, and it just continued and continued and continued. And then when he decided to run again, I was like, well, I'm going to stick with him. I'm going to be on board with him, but I'm not going to keep quiet when he does something really stupid. And those of you who know my show know that, Bravo and Goose used to be here. We parted ways because of that, because they could not handle the fact how I am and how I voice my opinion about him, and they didn't like that, but I couldn't in good conscience do my show and just overlook things that he did. And that's what they like to do. They like to just look past it. Oh, he did that, but yeah, whatever. I don't care. That's what they think. I don't care that he did that. Well, but I do. So that's why, I mean, I think I addressed this before. That's why we parted ways. I mean, we just couldn't, it wasn't the show wasn't the way I wanted it, and it wasn't going in the direction that I wanted it to go anymore. We started this thing. It was everybody. It didn't matter who you were, what side of the aisle you sat on. You did something stupid, we pointed it out. And we slowly got away from that. We slowly got into the love fest of Trump, and Trump's the Messiah, and he doesn't do anything wrong, and he's always right, and I couldn't get on board with that. So it's just not me. It's not who I am. And it goes against everything about me and the way I live my life. Again, doesn't mean that I don't like Trump. I do, but I have to be very critical. I'm pointing out. I call spade a spade. Sorry. Um, and some people can't handle that. Some people don't agree with that, but that's okay. Everybody's entitled to their own opinions. But it's crazy. And then then with this speech thing, then he gets pissed off because ABC and NBC said we're not airing this. We're not airing this stuff. We're not putting it on our network. And then he's calling for their license to be revoked because they didn't air his stuff. Look, you're not everybody's cup of tea, Trump. Sorry, just the way it is. Not everybody wants to hear you talk about yourself, and not everybody wants to hear you bring up these baseless things about China and 2020 election, because we all know that in 2020, Biden did not get 81 million votes, period. I don't care who you are. You have to inside know that wasn't the case. With that being said, he's making it seem like something can be done about it. And there's nothing that's going to be done. Yes. I mean, look, we've been hearing since 2020 that we have all the evidence. We got everything. We got everything. We got everything. And then we're going to get everybody. And who's going to jail? Anybody? Name one person. Nobody. Nothing's been done. Then we hear, Obama was involved in the Russia hoax and blah, blah, blah. What happened with that? Nothing. Everybody, he said, Obama should be prosecuted. Well, you know what? Saying it and doing it are two different things. And there's no way they're going to arrest Obama and put him in jail, or Clinton, or Hillary, or Bill, or anybody else for that matter. It's just not going to happen. And the better you'll be if you realize that and move on. Instead of sitting there, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. I listened to Nino Rodriguez, and I listened to other people who say, it's coming. Just trust the plan. Trump's got a plan. No, he doesn't. He's flying by the fucking seat of his pants right now. And everything that comes out of his mouth proves that there's no plan. The military, the military is going to step in and you're going to see. And I used to hear that shit all the time since 2020. The military's got everything. They know, and they're going to step in and take care, and start arresting people and blah, blah, blah. No, they're not. If that was going to happen, 6 years have gone by and nothing's happened. But you got to wait. It takes time. 6 years has gone by already. And nobody's been arrested. Nothing. We're not anywhere closer to fixing the election system in this country than we were before. Now, mind you, the election system's been fucked up for a long time. I mean, you can go back to Obama, you can go back even further. The election system is screwed up. There's always cheating going on. The only reason we're talking about this now, about cheating, is because Trump keeps bringing it up. If it wasn't Trump who lost, then we wouldn't hear. We wouldn't be hearing all this. It's because he lost and he got pissed off because they cheated that that we're constantly hearing, 2020, and he has to keep bringing it up because the base. I guarantee you, even though they won't admit it in public, they're tired of hearing about 2020. They want to move on and fix the country. But he's not doing that. He can't get out of the past. And so in that case, that's why we are where we are. Gas prices high, food prices high, energy prices high, everything's high. And you can't blame Biden anymore. We're going on a year and a half in. You can't blame Biden anymore. I'm sick of hearing, the Biden administration. You know what? But we're here now. We have the presidency, we have the House and the Senate, and we're not doing shit. That's the reality of it. And that's what hardcore MAGA has to open up their eyes and see. I mean, I wasn't a big fan of Alex Jones. Now, Alex Jones, I love him because it's like somebody flipped a switch in him and he realized, wait a minute, that's not right, and now he's speaking out. And of course, what'd Trump do? Trump, he's a loser. Tucker Carlson's a loser. Now, all these were big fans and big reason that he got reelected, and he turned against them all because they dare speak out against him. But that's the way it is, I mean, and like I said, I wasn't a big fan, but now I like him, because he speaks out. He speaks the truth. He sees something and he says it. He doesn't just sit there and let it go by. If Trump said something stupid, he calls him out. And that's the way it should be. Every American should be that way. Every American, it's their duty to question the government because the government can't be trusted. The government works for us. We don't work for them. And people seem to let that go. They work for us. I don't know. It just, I don't know what's going to happen. I mean, this country's falling apart. We're destroying ourselves from within. And I said it before, and I've been on record. You can go back to all the way back to 2016 when I started this show. I've said it. I've always said that China and Russia were going to be our biggest enemy. I always said that they'll team up against us. But they don't have to do anything right now because we're doing it to ourselves. We're destroying the country from within. We're destroying ourselves from within. All this infighting and all the stuff that we're going on, that's going to be our downfall. And then they'll come in and pick up the pieces. People don't want to hear that. Oh, that's not going to happen. China's not we're not afraid of China. We're not afraid of Russia. Yeah, but we should be. We should be. Because we're not ready to fight a war in this country. We've never had to. Unless you go back to the Civil War and stuff like that. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a major war and where we have to defend this country, the whole country. We're not ready for that. I'm sure people disagree with me, but nothing new. I'm used to people disagreeing with what I have to say, but deep down, people know that I'm telling the truth. They may not like the way I say it and the way I, present it, but I get, and like I said, I get hit all the time because I speak against Trump. That, why don't you say anything good about him? I'll be the first one to say something good about him when he does it. And I was always saying good things about him his first term. I was always saying how good he was doing and how, he was good for the country. And this time I can't say that because he's not the same person he was, back in 2016. He's just not, and it's a shame that people don't see that or they do see it and they just put the blinders on and act like, act like they don't see it. Oh, he's still doing good. He'll right the ship. The ship's sinking, and he doesn't seem to give a shit. He's talking about 2020, and he's saying he doesn't give a shit about the midterms. But you should care, because if we lose, he jokes about it. If the Democrats win in the midterms, they're going to come after me. Of course they are. You're 100% right. They're going to come after you and everybody else. You can count on that. Then people are like, oh, well, he's going to be president in 28 also. Oh, bullshit. First of all, he'll be 82, 83 years old? Who wants an 83-year-old president in the White House? I don't give a shit if it's Trump or whoever it is. Nobody wants that. We had that already with Biden. Now we're going to get it again? Trump's already 80 years old. There's just no way. This country's ready for a fresh, young president to take over. That's what, we've had too many of these old guys come in here, in and out. We need the fresh, renewed person. But, Trump, well, he's not a politician. Yes, he is. He's a politician. He's been a politician since 2020. Period. He hasn't changed. He's been a politician. He became a politician in 2020. That's just, I know people don't want to hear that, but he's not the businessman. I mean, he's always going to be a businessman. But as far as the presidency goes, he's a politician. Period. There's no difference between him and the rest of them now. I mean, he speaks his mind. Maybe a little too much, because he says a lot of stupid shit to go along with it. If he could rein it in and control his mouth and not say all these dumb things that he says, attacking women reporters and all the other dumb things that he does, we could get this country back on track. But everybody, trust the plan. He has no plan. He's so all over the place. Oh, and then I say that, and people say, oh, well, that's the way he wants it. That's the way he does that. He does it on purpose. No, he doesn't. He's flying by the seat of his pants. And he's, it's getting ridiculous is what it is. So, all you listening, I know you're going to, you bashing on Trump. Oh, man, you can't do that. Well, I just did. I just did it. Because, prove me wrong. And anything that I've said tonight, prove me wrong. 2016, he was great for the country. Now, he's not. MAGA, you all want to believe MAGA's still alive and going. It's not. MAGA's dead. This Make America Great Again thing is done. That ended already. He doesn't even say it that much anymore because he knows it's gone. That was a hook to keep the American, keep his base. He did that to keep his base. And it worked. And, there's still people out there wearing the Make America Great hat again and things like that. You don't see it as much anymore. When they first were wearing the hats, everybody was wearing them. Now you don't really see it anymore. Because it's just not true. We're doing all these things, and none of it is benefiting this country, especially the Iran crap. They fed us. Oh, well, they were going to, they were in the 2 weeks having a nuke, and they would have used it on us. That was a bunch of bullshit. Bullshit fed to him by Israel Look, don't get me wrong. I support Israel. You know, I think Israel should have handled this themselves. We should never been involved, and I've said that from the beginning. That Israel is a big boy. Netanyahu's a big boy. He can handle it himself. There was absolutely no reason for us to get involved because they weren't affecting us. There was nothing pointing to that Iran was going to do anything to us. And the fact we were told in July of last year that we destroyed their capabilities of having a nuke. And then come February, we're told, oh no, they were 2 weeks away. So which is it? You lied to us then or you're lying to us now? I mean, that's the bottom line. There is no anything else. You can't look at it any other way. It is. It's that black and white. You either lying to us back then or you're lying to us now. We know they lied to us back then about destroying all their capabilities because when their intelligence report came out, they said those places that we bombed weren't completely destroyed. And then Trump didn't like that it came out like that. But, that was his intelligence people saying it. We didn't destroy them like we said we did. Or like we thought we did. And now we're supposed to believe that they were 2 weeks away from having a nuke and they were going to use it on us. They don't even have a missile capable of reaching us. Reaching the United States. They can't. They don't have the capability to do that. But we're supposed to believe that anyway. I don't know. Well, all right, let's get off Trump here. We've got this explosive diarrhea problem going on in this country. And apparently it come from Taco Bell. Seems like Taco Bell has been the culprit of this whole thing. Let me see if I can find that article real quick. Where'd it go? I had it here somewhere. Oh, here we go. All right. So, lettuce at Taco Bell in 5 states confirmed as the source of diarrhea-causing parasite. Federal health officials have identified the lettuce from Mexico, of course, served in Taco Bell locations across 5 U.S. states, the source of the widespread outbreak of diarrhea-causing parasite. Calypso bora or something like that, it says. Center for Disease Control and Prevention late Thursday warned consumers not to eat shredded iceberg lettuce from Taco Bell restaurants in Indiana, Kentucky, Michigan, Ohio, and West Virginia. A record number of Cyopora cases have been reported in more than 30 states. And experts have said not every recent U.S. illness might be caused by a single source. Well, I mean, Taco Bell already caused you to take a shit after you eat it anyway. And now just made it worse. Food and Drug Administration investigating so far identified a single supplier of lettuce. Federal warning to consumers did not identify the company, but Taylor Fresh Foods of Salinas, California said FDA testing indicated that it was a specific independent farmer affiliated with the company. FDA was working with the supplier to determine its potential contaminated shredded iceberg lettuce remained on the market, including in other states. The CDC said Taco Bell has committed to stop using any lettuce from the supplier identified in the FDA's traceback investigation. So there you go, folks. Another reason not to eat Taco Bell. I'm sure there's people out there like Taco Bell. Oh, I like Taco Bell. What are you talking about? Well, enjoy the diarrhea then. I mean, Taco Bell already gave you the shit, but now they're giving you extra. So if you want to lose weight, go there and eat some lettuce and shit for a week. You can't make this stuff up. You really can't. Oh, man. I don't know. Well, that's about it for the show today, I think. All you who I offended, sorry, but that's just the way it is, I guess. Those of you who enjoyed the show, write me. Tell me how much you enjoyed the show. Share the show, comment, like and follow the Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and all those other happy hoo-ha places. And I'll be back. Hopefully it won't be more than, next week. What's next week? What's today? Today's Friday. Yeah, sometime next week I'll be back on. Eventually I'll get on some kind of schedule, but right now I'm just flying by the seat of my pants like Trump. All right, guys. I appreciate everybody listening in. And we'll be back. Maverick's out of here.
Slacker 82 Alpha.
Check the dirt is dead, smell the rot in the wind. You keep your eyes on the pavement, counting every sin. Waiting for a miracle, man, it ain't gonna come. Waiting for a miracle, man, it ain't gonna come. I see that fake ass grin looking vacant and numb. That polite little mask, yeah, starting to chip. I'm shoving truth down on mask, yeah, starting to chip. I'm shoving truth down your throat, take a bite of the whip. Hard pills to swallow, I'm the one with the dose. Hard pills to swallow, I'm the one with the dose. Bringing heavy reality, getting way too close. Bringing heavy reality, getting way too close. This is the Slacker 82 Alpha Show. Maverick's the voice, yeah, the one in the red.